A sealed room, a group of spiritualists, and a series of seances that some claim prove the existence of life after death, while others say it only proved how easy it is to be deceived. Tonight, we go deep into one of the most controversial and astonishing paranormal investigations in modern history, the Scole Experiment. The year is 1993. In the quiet village of Scole, nestled in the rolling countryside of Norfolk, England, 4 individuals, 2 couples, begin conducting seances in a modest cellar. At first glance, there's nothing remarkable about them. They're not flamboyant showmen or self-proclaimed prophets. They are Robin and Sandra Foy, committed spiritualists, and Alan and Diana Bennett, trance mediums who claim to be in contact with entities from beyond the veil. They call themselves simply the Scole Group, and their goal? To establish a reliable form of communication with spirits, not through psychic impressions or ghost hunting gadgets, but through direct, observable physical phenomena. From the very first session, something unusual happened. Tiny balls of light appeared in the pitch-black room, moving, pulsing, weaving through the air. Witnesses described them as spirit lights, intelligent in behavior, capable of hovering, changing color, even entering objects or people. There were sounds, too, knocking, tapping, whispered voices in multiple languages, and then came the physical interactions. Hands, invisible but tangible, brushing cheeks or clasping fingers. Objects materialized mid-session, ancient coins, polished stones, even apports, items said to dematerialize in one place and rematerialize in another. Some of these were hot to the touch, as if fresh from an unknown source. Among the many phenomena, the balls of light, materializations, the messages, one of the most startling was the direct voice communication. Voices, audible to everyone in the room, would appear out of thin air. They didn't emerge from the mouths of the mediums. They didn't echo off the walls. They seemed suspended, disembodied, in the very air itself. Robin and Sandra insisted on this point in a lot of their reports. Quote, the spirit voices were clearly located in the room, frequently moving around, and did not come from any living person, end quote. The voices introduced themselves. Some claimed to be guides. Others said they were scientists, communicating from a parallel dimension they called the spirit world. The tone of the voices varied, sometimes jovial, sometimes stern. They joked, they taught, and they warned. And on several occasions, they allowed themselves to be recorded. One of the most famous recordings captured a voice identifying itself as Patrick, a former priest who worked closely with the Scole Group. Patrick's accent, laughter, and casual banter endeared him to many. He would often tease the sitters, but also delivered profound messages about the nature of consciousness and survival after death.
Good evening to you.
Hello, Patrick.
God bless you. God bless you. I never heard such a commotion before. all right. I'm only joking.
Another voice, known simply as Raji, spoke with a deep, authoritative tone, guiding the experiments with strict instructions. Listeners later described feeling chills, as though the voice carried not just sound, but energy itself.
Hello, Roger. Good evening. Good afternoon. Talk freely, and this will help enormously. As Mr. Robin was saying, you must, what was he saying?
I've forgotten already, right?
Yes, well, whatever it was he was saying, we must do it.
Then there was Emily Bradshaw, an older, distinguished woman who presented herself as a young girl spirit, often playful, curious, and lighthearted. She was one of the most human-feeling presences during the sessions. Emily was said to have lived during the late Victorian or Edwardian era, based on how she spoke and dressed, according to her descriptions. She often came through to demonstrate that spirits retain personality and innocence after death. Emily would sometimes speak aloud, sometimes write short notes, and sometimes interact with the physical environment, like moving objects, playing with luminous balls, or lightly touching sitters.
Emily, when did you live on the Earth?
Oh, a long time ago now.
19th century?
Yes. We continue from our side of life to influence people still in the body.
Skeptics argued that ventriloquism or hidden speakers could explain the phenomenon, but multiple independent investigators, some professional magicians and illusionists themselves, scoured the room, the equipment, and the participants, finding no evidence of fraud. The darkness, they conceded, made perfect observation difficult. Yet the sheer variety, personality, and spontaneity of the voices left many wondering if something genuine was taking place. During one remarkable session, a visiting scientist asked a direct question, something only he could know the answer to. The reply came instantly, accurate, and impossible to guess. These such moments piled up, hundreds of hours of recordings, testimonies, and documentation. But the most astonishing phenomenon involved 35mm photographic film. Unexposed rolls of the film were sealed in locked containers. No one touched them. No one opened them. Yet after the seance, when developed, the film revealed messages written in strange symbols, ancient alphabets, or stylized handwriting. Some images looked like blueprints or diagrams. Others showed the faces of unknown individuals or cosmic landscapes as if drawn from dreams. And so the word spread. Something extraordinary was happening in Scole. And soon, the scientific world took notice. Enter the Society for Psychical Research, founded in 1882, the oldest organization in the world dedicated to studying paranormal phenomena using scientific methods. They sent 3 respected members to investigate: Dr. David Fontana, a psychologist; Montague Keene, an agricultural economist and researcher; and Professor Arthur Ellison, an electrical engineer. These weren't naive thrill seekers. They were skeptical, seasoned professionals, used to debunking fraud, not falling for it. They sat through dozens of sessions. They brought their own controls, sealed film canisters, light meters, and used strict protocols. And yet, they left convinced. In 1999, they published the Scole Report, a massive 300-page document detailing the events. Their conclusion? that the phenomena defied rational explanation, that whatever was occurring in that cellar wasn't trickery, or at least not any they could detect. Montague Keen would later write that they had witnessed a series of unprecedented phenomena that compelled us to conclude that discarnate intelligences were responsible. But not everyone was buying it. Skeptics from the Committee for the Scientific Investigation of Claims of the Paranormal, or PSYCOP, and prominent debunkers like James Randi immediately criticized the report. They pointed to a glaring flaw: total darkness. The seances were held in rooms with no light, no infrared cameras, no outside observers, and no independent monitoring. The sitters were all handpicked. The mediums controlled the setup. And according to skeptics, that was all they needed to fake everything reported. Magicians replicated the spirit lights using LED devices and phosphorescent paint. They demonstrated how objects could be slipped into the room unnoticed. Even the film, skeptics claim, could be manipulated, either chemically or preloaded before being sealed. It was all explainable, they said, if you assume the worst: deception. And yet, no one ever caught the Scole group cheating. There was no exposure, no confessions, no profit motive. Robin Foy went on to found the Noah's Ark Society and later the Spiritual Science Foundation, both nonprofit ventures promoting physical mediumship. He never capitalized on Scole's fame. And the SBR investigators, Fontana, Ellison, and Keen, stood by their findings until their deaths. By the early 2000s, the Scole sessions had stopped. The team disbanded quietly. The cellar went silent. But the mystery endured. Some believe the spirit team simply moved on. Others believe the group reached the limits of what could be achieved, at least on this side of the veil. Montague Keen passed away in 2004, reportedly after delivering a speech about life after death. In the weeks that followed, his widow claimed she received unmistakable signs from him, messages from beyond. So where does that leave us? With a report, a cellar, a handful of photographs, and a swirl of questions that no one can seem to answer. If it was fraud, it was remarkably consistent, flawless even, over a period of 5 years with nothing ever proven. If it was real, then the Scole Experiment stands as perhaps the closest we've ever come to a true breakthrough in spirit communication. But for now, the truth lies just out of reach, like a whisper in the dark or a flicker of light. It's gone before you can find out what is truly there.